Well, welcome everybody. My name is Michael Hilkemeyer from ICT Solutions Australia, and today I'm interviewing Michelle Miller and Melissa Clark from the award-winning RoboKids. Welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for this opportunity to interview you on what you do for teachers and students here in Queensland, I think in New South Wales and in Victoria. So welcome.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks,
Great
Michael.
to be here.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Michelle.
And I'm Melissa.
Shall I start with the first question then? Can you tell us how RoboKids got started?
Yeah, sure, Michael. Well, as a teacher, I brought robotics into my teaching program where I was working part-time to develop and coordinate a technology program. I had a very proactive principal called Dean White, and he encouraged the program's development. And during its success, we started to offer our workshops to local feeder primary schools where the primary students would come on site for the day. And then from that, the network of principals and teachers involved, they started to ask, well, can you come on site? And this is fantastic. And can you run these workshops for our primary students? So because I was working part-time, I spoke to Dean. He had no problems. I kitted myself up with my first kit and just started to offer workshops to the primary schools, starting off with years 5 and 6. And that level of interest just continued to grow. And then I brought on a colleague. So that's really, we began by accident.
Wow, but that's quite a good bit of a journey there, Michelle.
Yeah, it has been an amazing journey. It's incredibly rewarding to work with schools and teachers every day. We get the best out of the kids. The teachers are so appreciative of what services that we provide. We take a headache away from them, and it's just a delight to be in the classroom.
So who is involved in RoboKids today?
And we've got 8 members within our team in New South Wales and Victoria. And since our early beginnings, in 2016, we won an opportunity with PwC to be mentored. And then in 2017, we won a partnership with Education Changemakers and subsequently nominated for a Telstra Business Award. In 2018, a CBA Women in Focus Award. And in 2019, today, we're still currently, we've partnered with Toyota on some really exciting STEM projects in Victoria and New South Wales. So with that, we've currently got 8 team members on board.
How does RoboKids support teachers in the use of digital technologies in the curriculum?
Yeah, that's a really great question. We support teachers and the use of digital technologies from preschool to year 8. Our programs are aligned to the national curriculum and all specific state outcomes. Some states have got specific requirements. We integrate the use of digital technology to all KLA programs, more specifically science and technology. And furthermore, through the use of Digitech, we explore literacy and numeracy outcomes, for example, procedural and narrative writing and literacy, measurement of time, angles and turns and estimations in mathematics, just to name a few. So here at RoboKids, we offer a variety of module incursions during the school day, ranging from one-off visits to being on site at schools 2 days a week for the school year, depending on the school needs. So we're adaptable. And we provide assessment rubrics aligned to reporting outcomes. We provide all the equipment and expertise to schools. Schools don't need to allocate funding, where more often not we find that equipment lays idle on teachers' shelves after they've used their equipment. They don't need to allocate any of their annual budget to robotics or Digitech because we come in and run all the services for them. We also offer teacher professional development courses for those schools who do wish to upskill their teachers' digital capacity and who do have the capacity to run a STEM robotics program in their school. We bring all the technology. We're a hands-on service which enables a creative, inventive and inquiry-based environment where students design, build and code robots, and they're paired with one robot kit and either one iPad or laptop. And we just find that incredibly successful.
So in relation to student support, what role does RoboKids play in helping students develop their capabilities?
Yeah, that's another great question. Well, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but it's much more than that. STEM has grown to represent a unique approach to teaching and learning, one that centres around individual students' learning styles and interests. It's a very student-centred environment. We differentiate to student needs. We do not develop completely prescriptive courses. Our programs are quite fluid to enable students to meet outcomes and flourish really at their own pace. Our teachers will have the capacity, as we are all teachers here at RoboKids, to really pick up on the nuances and individual student needs when they're in there during the day. No one module is the same when it's rerun. We always cater to students' individual differences. No student coding or design solution is the same. The students' confidence just increases throughout our courses as we run through them. And teachers are quietly blown away by the level of student engagement, in particular to those students who do not always thrive in a read and write environment. And students are essentially learning through play and experimentation. And here at RoboKids, we believe that digital play holds tremendous potential to enrich children's lives. We feel a deep responsibility to deliver a digital environment that creates the best possible outcomes for students. And we do this by anchoring the well-being of children in how we design our modules. And here at RoboKids, we'll continue to strengthen our leadership in this space. And just today, what's been released is the LEGO Foundation, together with UNICEF and the LEGO Group, have announced a new report about responsible innovation in technology for children, digital technology, play, and child well-being. And this research, which aims to provide guidance for how digital design choices can support child well-being, demonstrate how learning through play can act as a vital tool to help children develop confidence, resilience, manage stress and anxiety.
That's a fantastic answer. Thank you so much, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Furthermore, when we're speaking in relation to STEM in education,
how
does STEM education equip schools with the effective tools and strategies to create an innovative learning environment?
Well, I think when you're teaching STEM, you're differentiating the learning. Okay, you have an outline. But as I've mentioned earlier, no student is the same, and it has the ability and the flexibility to teach or to provide an environment that caters to the students' needs. And I think Melissa will agree that in any class that we go into, while we've got a nice guide of what's we're going to present, the students are given enough flexibility and room to go off and create, design and develop to their own capacity. And I think that's the secret success of all of our lessons. They're so engaged, the teachers can see the engagement, and generally that, the fact that the lessons are differentiated, they're inquiry-based, we're cooperative learning, as students learn at their own pace and level of understanding. STEM education also develops the softer skills while working with a partner. So we always provide a 1-to-2 ratio, one robot kit, one iPad or laptop, and it develops problem-solving, resilience and confidence. STEM teaching involves the 21st century skill set. We have Australia's first innovation generation in our hands at the moment. So there's a lot of development in this space, a lot of research, a lot of programs catering to the needs of our students, as everybody realises the world that the students are about to step into is going to be completely different to the world that they exist now. And so they need to have these transferable skills, which were normally reserved for students that were graduating from university. So it's really imperative that this skill set, which is based on the fundament of computational thinking, that they really start to develop these as early as preschool.
Okay. What role does RoboKids have in achieving this then?
Okay, well, we're lucky to be an award-winning nationally recognised STEM provider. We have run our own courses to 120,000 students and teachers, and currently we service schools in New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland. We have a specialised curriculum developed, which aligns to teachers' programs during the school day, and our programs are designed by teachers for teachers. So we know what's happening in the classroom. We know what teachers are facing. We know that the curriculum is jam-packed, and we we basically take the headache away from schools on managing resources, equipment, and we offer a 21st century program for their students. For most schools, purchasing robots is expensive, and often robotic, as I said before, a lot of the time, the equipment, once it's been used for 4 to 6 weeks, it lies dormant on shelves collecting dust. I can't tell you how many times we've walked into schools and teachers will say, "Hey, Michelle, look at this. Can we use this?" And we go, well, you know what, that's about 5 years old now, and it's that. So they've spent a lot of money purchasing gear, and it becomes outdated. And so schools never need to worry about that with us. We stay current, we stay up to date, we provide schools and students with the most up-to-date resources.
With robotics in relation to early childhood education, what types of robotics do you provide support for in early childhood?
I'm going to now hand you to Melissa. Melissa,
Yeah, I'll take that one. I'll take
Thanks,
the,
Melissa.
yeah, great. Well, there are 2 types of robotics that RoboKids can provide to support early childhood education. And the first one, which many people may have seen, is the Bebot robot. These are colourful, easy to operate, friendly little guys. That's a perfect tool for teaching young children about robotics. They have little directional keys that are used to enter the commands to do the coding in a sequence which sends Bebot forward, back, left and right. Pressing the green go button starts the Bebot on its way, and it's a really child and classroom friendly robot that really boosts enthusiasm and experimentation and learning. And of course, young learners really connect to them. They all want to take them home. They all give them names, and they're really cute. The other one that we use with the early childhood program are these robots called Botsies. And this kit allows early learners to actually build a robot. And the blocks are like Duplo, so they're really great for little hands. They're really big, colourful pieces that go together onto a hub that actually can have sensors and wheels that will move the robot. So they actually get to build the robot as opposed to just using one that's already been made. And then they use an iPad. And of course, they have to do cooperative learning here. They're with a partner, they're building together, they're following very easy directions on how to build their robot. It's just a flick of the page for visual learning. And then they get to code it on the iPad and get it to move. And that's very exciting for young learners. There's sounds, they can dance, they move and perform simple tasks. So the Bebot and the Botsie are the 2 types of robotics that we can provide for early childhood.
In what way can robotics be used in early childhood?
Robotics in early childhood can be used across all the curriculum in the early childhood arena. It's an excellent way of giving children both discovery time and also intentional experiences that are play-based. They can also be used to teach very specific skills such as counting, sequencing, estimation, problem solving in a really fun and engaging way. It can be integrated across any area of study and can actively promote children's learning through worthwhile and challenging experiences and interactions that foster really higher level thinking skills. Another way is robotics is teaching collaboration and learning to work with a partner. It's another way of using robotics in the early childhood classroom. In a robotics lesson, the children need to collaborate and practice using, appropriate body language, such as facing each other, talking to each other, communicating in appropriate ways, sharing and taking turns. And we know that's hard for early learners, but it gives them a lot of practice in doing that because they have to work together in order to complete a task together. It's Robotics is a great preparation for getting ready for the school years. It's encouraging the initial stages of sequential step-by-step learning, which is paramount to the 21st century education of our young learners.
Can you provide an example of how early childhood practitioners can integrate robotics in their teaching and learning?
Yeah, you can introduce STEM concepts to children in really playful ways, encourage them to be excited about further explorations in science, technology, engineering, and maths. So after, for example, with the Bebot, after initial discovery play, where children discover through trial and error, and we never tell them how to use these robots because they can discover it themselves just by giving them the time and the robot on the floor. They discover how to turn it on. They discover what each of the buttons do. And I always get them to then teach the teacher. I get them to come back and say, oh, what does this do? What does that do? And they think they're discovering everything about the Bebot. So once they've discovered how it moves, and that can take several days maybe of just discovery play, and persistence is a really big part here too, for some children who get frustrated, but they keep trying and discover different ways to make it move. So after that discovery time has been catered for, children get the confidence, and then some intentional lessons can be planned and incorporated. For example, children can practice counting and counting on with a Bebot robot. So if you have a big dice and rolling the dice, counting the dots, so they're practicing their counting, then pressing the forward key that many times that the dice told them to press it, programming the Bebot to go forward a certain number of steps. So then you could actually create a number line, and they could do number recognition as well as they move along the number line. And then they can add on to their program to get their Bebot to reach the number 10. So how many more do we need? Or to reach their partner across the floor, or to reach a taped out finish line or something, so that they just keep adding to that program or that code. Then they can start to add more steps, such as the turns, the 90-degree turns. Bebot will remember up to 40 instructions, which is a lot. So you can keep adding to that program and really get Bebot to move quite a distance along the floor. And then children can start engineering their own pathways. They can grab blocks off the shelf. They can grab boxes, and they can start making pathways for the Bebot to get around. So it's got to be, it's like straight roads and then turns. And maybe this could be integrated into a neighbourhood type theme where children recreate their neighbourhood or recreate the map of their preschool and get Bebot to move around in that way. So they can design and build and then get Bebot to find their way home or go to the shop or find the playground. And that's really engaging, of course, for all children.
Are there any other case studies or examples that you would like to sort of share with us in relation to the use of robotics in early childhood?
Well, yeah, as I said, it could be integrated across any curriculum area, and even literacy and storytelling. It's a great way to get children speaking and listening to each other. They could retell a story, such as using the beginning, middle, and end, and getting Bebot to retrace the steps of that story. So after listening to a story, children could draw the parts of the story, the beginning, the middle, the end, or they could use pre-made picture cards or something, put them on the floor, code Bebot to start at the beginning, and then the child has to retell the story that they just listened to. They could retell it to Bebot, or they could retell it to their partner, get Bebot to move to the middle of the story, what happened in the middle of the story, and so on. So it's really developing those communication skills and literacy skills essential for young learners.
Okay. Moving on now to primary education. How are robotics different in primary ed these days?
Okay, well, in primary education, there's actually a developed national curriculum where robotics and coding is mandatory for every student in Australia. So each school must develop in their scope and sequence programs a digital literacy course for each student from K to 6. To support teachers and schools in providing this mandatory curriculum, RoboKids has 3 levels of robotic kits and robotic programs that we can provide that are suitable for all primary students as they progress across the year levels. These kits and programs increase in complexity, and they offer a range of increasingly difficult coding languages. We would go from after pre-K with the B-bots and the botsies, moving into, say, kinder and year 1 with the Lego equipment or the Lego robotics kits of the We Do. In years 3 and 4, they move into the Lego equipment, which is Spike, which is also building and coding, increasingly complex. And then finally, when they're in year 6, they get to these amazing EV3, which they can also build and code on the iPads. So iPads and the Lego equipment are used across the K to 6 curriculum.
Okay. How does robotics progress in primary education from early childhood education?
Okay, so, well, there is a developed curriculum in primary education where specific outcomes are nominated for each year level from K to 6. These are focusing on 3 areas: working scientifically, design and production, and the digital technology curriculum. So it becomes a little more formalised when they move into primary education. As I previously said, the equipment and the coding becomes increasingly complex, and we start to introduce the word algorithms and the idea that sequences of instructions become more challenging. And also, using robots as tools in our world. They're not just toys, they're not just a little bit of fun, but they actually can do jobs, they can meet challenges, and we can decide what they do. We're in control of them, and we can create them, modify them, and code them to do what we want them to do.
We're the boss.
Yeah.
Kids are the boss.
Yeah. So the programming languages become more complex as well. So the codes move from just pressing buttons, right, on the B-bots to codes that are very visual. For example, in the We Do, the year 1 and 2 coding is very, it's a block code. I don't know whether you can see that. Just very visual, just block codes that push together.
Yep.
With the Spike Lego kits, there's a Scratch program on the iPads that they learn, then go from the visual to the Scratch, which can be visual or text-based.
Yep.
And then moving on into year 6, when they're doing the EV3, they move to the coding language of Python, which is purely text-based coding.
You might have already covered this question, but I'll just forgive me if I sort of double myself up. What are the transferable capabilities that can be applied in both sectors of early childhood and primary education?
Yeah, well, we're moving from play in the early years to a more structured approach, but it's still play. It's still fun and engaging, and it's like play and like discovery, but for older students. But they're also meeting intentional age-appropriate curriculum needs. The cooperative learning skills remain really important from pre-K to 6. They continue to work in partnerships. So they've got to, work on those skills right through to from pre-K to 6. Persistence and resilience
Yep.
to keep going and meeting those challenges, and what happens if it doesn't work, and how can we solve this with my partner.
Yep.
And of course, a range of pre-K to year 6 skills and processes, such as the problem solving, inquiry, experimentation, hypothesizing, researching, investigating, they're all transferred from early learning through to the later primary years.
Yep. A little bit more on towards the in relation of the role of STEM in developing student ICT capabilities. The development of ICT capability, it is prominent mostly throughout primary education. How important is it for teachers to apply STEM practices in the curriculum today?
So hand the baton back to me, Liz.
Okay.
It's really important. I mean, we know that STEM stands for science, technology, engineering and maths, but it's much more than that. It's grown to represent a unique approach to teaching and learning. And we've said before that it centres around students' individual needs and learning styles. And as educators, we need to make sure that all Australian school students have the skills and the experience for the jobs of the future and not the past. Where we are an automated world now, and we connect to automation. We always connect to what's happening in industry so that students can see the relevance. STEM practices can be integrated into all KLA areas, and every school has a varying approach and need. Every young person that leaves school, or we hope that every young person as they leave school, that they have the innovation and tech skills that they need to thrive in their ever-changing world that lies ahead of them. STEM develops critical thinking, creativity, curiosity and resilience. And as I just mentioned earlier, Australia's first innovation generation need to be prepared for their future by creating the shift from digital users to digital creators. We all see kids sitting there with their iPads or their phones, even little babies sitting in their high chairs as mum's having her coffee. Well, they need to learn how to create it. We need to foster computational thinking, which underpins much of our modern society. STEM engages students in 21st century learning, helping them become the innovative and creative problem solvers that the world needs. And we believe that all of our students will have the capacity to create a better world. But if I have a moment, Michael, I'd just like to retouch on a question that referred to
Absolutely. Go for
case
it.
studies in the primary curriculum. Can I share my screen?
Absolutely.
And I remember when one of our schools,
Are you able to? Okay, try it now.
All right, let's see if I can pick it up. Yep. So I remember when one of our schools said, "Oh, Shell, you know, we're going to be developing a unit. We really like you to link to living things. Can you do that?" And I thought, "Oh, robots and living things. How are we going to do this, Melissa?" And then I thought, hang on a minute. No. Let's put our thinking caps on. So we had a group corroboree, as I call it, and it's been quite amazing. So you can see here the screen. This is the third lesson unit on living things, on insects, and this is a phasmid lesson. So basically we show the kids a video of phasmids and what they look like. We talk about what do living things look like, what is a phasmid, what makes a phasmid. And then as the student actually build a base of a robot, they need to invent and create the phasmid. And so we establish that they have eyes, legs, wings, a body and a mouth. And this here, you can see that that's one of the students' interpretations. So they build, design and invent. And it's
that is such a great idea.
Oh, that's the highlight of our lessons is the invention. You know, we do the same with gorillas and tadpoles and, you know, every lesson. So it's, and the kids, obviously, after the build and the invention, we come to the code, getting the phasmid. Is it a fast-moving insect or is it slow? So they have to design the code so it moves very slow. It changes colour. It's adaptation. So we put in the colour block so it can change from green to brown as it moves from grass to tree. So we're connecting to, you know, real issues that kids need to explore and understand.
Oh, wow. That is so enlightening. Thanks, Michelle. That's explained a lot.
Stop the screen sharing.
Right.
Sorry, just let me bring this up.
Well, finally, if there's a particular message or something that you would like our listeners to know, more about what you can offer them, what would you say to teachers either in early childhood or primary? What would you say to them be your message about RoboKids?
We take the headache out of navigating the digital technology space. We're very easy to implement. They never need to worry about upskilling teachers, spending money on resources. The kids are guaranteed to have a great time, and we're very easy to book. It's a three-step process, basically. So get in contact with us at robokids.com.au or info@robokids.com.au. We are so happy to come and visit you, have a chat over the phone about your needs. We understand that you're time poor, but for all of our schools that keep booking us in, we have an 85% rebooking rate with our clients. Just going into the class, we know and understand what a relief the teachers will feel once they have us in their program curriculum. We tick a big box that often is unmarked.
Okay, well, Michelle and Melissa are going to put together some links that I can provide that you can find underneath this replay. For you to contact them, and maybe a link as well to a special offer or a deal. Yeah. I don't know. It's a mystery. Sure. It's a complete mystery. So look for those links.
For the first 5 responders, I think we can offer a free workshop if you're in Sydney or Melbourne. And to the next 5, we're happy to discount our workshop. So just get in touch and we'll have a chat.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michelle and Melissa, for this opportunity to interview RoboKids and to learn more about you. And I wish RoboKids the very best in the future.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Bye.
See you soon.
See ya.
Bye.